Welcome to the Zeducation podcast, where it's all about helping people and organizations unleash their greatness. Hosted by me, Pasitawa Haufano, and my brother.
That's me, Kalolo Haufano.
The Zeducation podcast features lively discussions.
When they share it, you see that they're beginning to feel empowered.
My heart, it's full of pride for me to be at Maitai Samoa.
As well as tips on leadership and business by some of the top minds and influencers around the world.
You don't necessarily need a degree these days. There's so many pathways to success.
Welcome to the Zeducation podcast. Okay, so welcome to the Zeducation podcast. We're about to meet a true catalyst for self-discovery and empowerment. Our guest today is Nora Swann, on a mission to bring out the best in others. Through her unique approach to personal style, she's helping individuals unveil their inner confidence and authenticity, one outfit at a time. Nora's vision is simple yet profound, to unleash the stylish person within each of us. Her work is all about transformation, reflecting true inner selves and embracing individuality. So why do you need to tune in today? If you're looking to unlock your inner potential, boost your self-confidence, and discover your unique style in a world that often expects conformity, this episode is for you. Nora Swann's insights are not just about fashion, they're also about self-discovery and empowerment. So join us as we dive into her inspiring journey and learn how she's making a positive change, one wardrobe at a time. So listeners, get ready for an episode that could change the way you see yourself and your personal style. Thank you for joining us today, Nora Swann. How are you doing?
Good, thank you for having me, Pasawa.
Oh, you're very welcome. Well, to kick things off here, share something interesting about yourself that people don't know about Nora Swann.
Okay, I think it's the fact that I grew up an extreme introvert, and now I work in an extremely extroverted industry.
Nice. And how's that going for you?
Yeah, I just keep going. We had that little chat off air about how I had the photo shoot yesterday, and it took the photographer, a few takes before I became comfortable. But it's taken a while for me to become comfortable in uncomfortable situations, and it's now my norm. But, I will keep it real and say, public speaking isn't my favorite forte, but I do it anyway. And I'm always learning, and I can only get better. But having that kind of casual approach to like being in front of the camera has helped me stay authentic to who I am. And I just, trying to keep it real.
I love that. I think that's a living and breathing example of whether you're introvert or extrovert, and unleashing your inner confidence, especially if you're an introvert in an extroverted world. How do you navigate through all of that? Nora Swann is leading by example. So that's amazing. That's awesome. So tell us about your story. Tell us about how Nora Swann Limited came about, and also tell us a little bit about Dress with Confidence.
So 12 years ago, I started my business 12 years ago, and I'm not sure if you remember Cleo magazine. I think guys would know a bit about fashion as well. So Cleo magazine was one of the like a mainstream fashion magazine back then. I do believe it was a New Zealand magazine. And they had a competition in there, who wants to be a fashion stylist. And so I was shopping one day in the supermarket, and I saw it in the magazine aisle, and I was like, oh, this looks really cool. It was on the cover of the magazine. And you had to basically describe in 100 words why you thought you'd be a great stylist. And so I thought, oh, I'm going to enter that, because I knew I was pretty good at, dressing up. It kind of came to me naturally. And so I thought I would enter it, but I never entered it until maybe a month later. I heard it on the radio, and I thought, oh, there's that competition again. Maybe I should enter it. So I entered it. I literally described my wardrobe, which is, pretty flamboyant. And I was a bit creative in how I put together the entry, but I was surprised to get a call from Angela Stone, who was running the competition, to say that out of 4,000 entries nationwide, I had won the competition.
Wow.
And so that was pretty much my door into the fashion industry, because I didn't study fashion. And yeah, started off as a personal stylist. I live out in South Auckland. I'm New Zealand born, Pacific Niuean, Samoa Niuean, sorry. And so tried to build my business amongst where I was based. But, people are so laid back and casual out in South and as Pacific Islanders. And so I had to branch out, which is where I started doing fashion campaigns, events. I went into starting up Pacific Fusion Fashion Show, which is the largest high-end Pacific fashion show in New Zealand. And our show's in December, upcoming December. I started the first ever Pacific-owned modeling agency called The Swan. And then Dress and Confidence came about, I think, in 2016. So do a lot of stuff in fashion, social service. Fashion is my passion. It's such a cliche, I know, but I own it 100%. And yeah, I love what I do, and I'm happy that I figured out what my purpose was here on earth, which is redefining the definition of beauty and fashion and across the board. And that's where things like being true to who you are as a person and what you've covered in my bio.
Tell us a little bit about that personal growth there for you personally, because there's a lot of people out there who have all these big ideas, but they feel like they're holding themselves back because they're an introvert or all that kind of thing. So maybe tell us some of the tips around breaking through some of that barrier.
Yeah. I'd say I'm like an ambivert now. So I sit in between introvert and extrovert, but I definitely know that I need time to reset and, rejuvenate after I've done something really extreme. But it has been an interesting journey. I grew up really shy, quiet, didn't like public speaking, very antisocial, dated later on in life because I just liked my own space. I only had like a handful of friends, even family events. I kept to myself. But when I realized, when I won that competition, I thought, what, this is my one opportunity to do something with myself, because I had a 9-to-5 job. I used to work in the print industry, didn't like what I was doing. And when that voice in your head just gets louder and louder to do it, you just have to kind of follow it, because I wanted to do more than what I was doing back then. And so I started putting myself out there, before social media was really big. Outfits, just posting outfits of what I was putting together. And I know that, people had said it to me, and you kind of got it indirectly where people were thinking, oh, she's such a show off, or she's so vain. And I thought, oh my gosh, you don't even know who I am. I'm actually really introverted. And this is me trying to come out of my shell and being a creative, just trying different ways and being really innovative with how I approach trying to build my business. So yeah, it's always been hard. And, I remember when I would speak at events, public speaking, and I'd be like shaking and sweating harder and fidgeting. And I've managed to tame all of that because, experience, the more you practice, and you're always going to suck at something when you first start out, right? And so I just kept on doing it. And I think because I think I got it from, I don't know, maybe my dad, really, thick skin, and I didn't really care what people thought about me. But coming through that, it was not an easy thing to go through, because, as I said, I'm quite introverted, so it did hurt, and I did feel embarrassed, but I also had this part of me where I was like, no, keep going, because I want to do what I want to do. And if that means me coming out of my shell and making a fool out of myself to reach my goals and to do what I want to do in life, then I was going to do it. But it has not been an easy journey. And to this day, you would know when you put yourself out there, there's always, not everyone likes you, and it's just you being comfortable with not everyone liking you.
What I'm hearing is, obviously you had a vision, you had a goal, whether you're introvert or extrovert, you were pulled or driven by something, and you were willing to do whatever it takes to achieve it, with, how many mistakes, how many, those tough opportunities, you learn from it, you keep going because you're driven by something that's bigger than yourself. And also, it's not about who's better, introvert or extrovert. It's just in terms of, introvert, extroverts are different in terms of where they draw energy. And one of the best analogies I've ever heard was by Simon Sinek, who talked about, it's like going to a party. You wake up, an introvert wakes up, they've got like 5 coins. And when they go out and socialize with people, they give away a coin, and in each interaction, they give away a coin. And by the end of it, they've got nothing. They're depleted, right? So they need to go, have some personal space or do whatever it takes to get those coins back, get energy. Whereas an extrovert's the opposite. They wake up in the morning, they got no coins, but when they go interact with people, they get money, they get the coins, they're receiving instead of giving. And by the end of it, they feel rich, they feel good, in terms of energy. So I think that's a nice analogy to illustrate the importance that introvert and extrovert is just in terms of where you get your energy. So if you're doing public speaking, if you're doing those tough gigs, it drains a lot of energy. And just remember to take time to reset and to re-energize. Look, I love the work that you're doing. You're doing these fashions, you're doing these workshops, you're working with government agencies, clients, businesses, and you're just helping people unleash their inner confidence, right? Tell us a little bit more about dressing with confidence. Why is that so important?
Yeah. So I started Dressing Confidence in 2016, and it was, you work in fashion and you want to find a way to give back to the community. As Pacific Islanders, it's normal that we always want to serve our communities. But before that, it was because I've got two daughters, and I noticed my daughters were really shy. And like I said, I grew up really shy, and I consider myself a late bloomer. And so I didn't want them to follow that same path that I did and discover their superpowers later on in life. So I thought, okay, so basically everything that we teach in Dressing Confidence, exercises that I use to help build my daughter's own self-confidence. And I used it on myself as well. So everything we teach, I'm kind of walking proof that if someone like me who's really shy and introverted can completely change, then so can the next person. So that's why Dressing Confidence came about. It was to help people to realize that they have what it takes. They've got the goods. And sometimes it just takes someone to believe in them. So we teach well-being with fashion as the medium. And I know a lot of people cannot see the connection between well-being and fashion because, fashion can be seen as quite egotistical or narcissistic, right? But for me, when we teach fashion, it's all about making sure that there's a true inner connection with the person that's looking back at you in the mirror. So you want to make sure that the real inner you is represented externally, and there's no facades. You're not a different person in the day, and when you're with other people, you're that same authentic person throughout the whole life that you live. So these are the messages that we push every time we're running our Dressing Confidence programs. Are you comfortable in your own skin? Can you look at yourself in the mirror without flinching? I'll share the story with you, and I did share it on my social media channels a few months ago because I've been unwell, and I work in the fashion industry, right? So it's all about the external. And so I got my braces done last year. Then I had a massive allergic reaction on my face, and I'm healing now, but I kept on going to work. I couldn't wear makeup. I did work overseas. I went to some big fashion shows overseas. And because I was really comfortable and confident in my own skin, and I knew what I brought to the table, I sort of went into those places thinking, yeah, this is me. Like I can feel really comfortable in who I am if I'm really dressed up, if I'm looking really terrible. And I did when I was really, really sick. But it was proof that I had worked on my inner self, and I knew who I was as a person, and I know I'm a good person, that whatever anyone else thought about me, it didn't matter because I knew that I still had the goods, and I was able to still perform and do my work regardless of how I looked. And I work in fashion, so that's freaking hard because it's all about people looking at you and judging you. But I still managed to do my work really well, and I think my business actually did really well last year. And so it's living proof that I am true to the work that I teach. And I'm not going to come and say, dress in confidence, but be really plastic, because that's not who I am. And those are not the values that I hold as a person.
Oh, I love that. The inner beauty and the outer beauty. I love that. There's got to be a good balance there. So tell us a little bit about that individual journey when you're helping someone else in terms of helping them discover their personal style, right? Or their inner beauty. For example, where do you start? How do you help them? And what are some of the barriers that you have to kind of coach them through as well?
So what we're finding is, because we work predominantly with Indigenous audiences, so Māori and Pacifica, so they come to us shy. It's just like when you're meeting a stranger first time round. And so, of course, we've got to build that rapport, build the trust, get to know them on a personal level. And then we're going through, what their personal style is, where they are in their lives, where they're wanting to go, what are their future goals. And then getting to know them better. So our programs are generally 3 days that we run. And it is about making sure that we can connect with them so that we can help them present themselves, they put their best foot forward when they're going into employment or when they're wanting to start a new journey in their lives. So making that true, genuine connection is a big thing for us, because it's one thing for us to work with people and then realize that, when they're leaving us, that actually she didn't make me feel better about myself internally, and how I'm now looking externally is not what I really wanted. So that true connection and knowing what it is that they really want from us or from the Dress and Confidence programs that is going to help their personal and professional image, like knowing that is really key in order for us to help them.
You mentioned something around personal and professional image. So it sounds like, obviously, well, in my mind, when you just said that, it almost sounds like two different styles. Is that what you're alluding to?
Yes, most definitely. Because, what we wear in our own time and in our own space is pretty much what we want to wear, right? But if you're going to go into, when you go to work, there's generally a dress code and you've got to follow that. And I would say that I'm really lucky that I work in the creative industry or the fashion industry, because my personal and professional image is pretty much the same. I can pretty much wear what I want to wear. But there's a lot of people who have a personal style, and then when they go into work, they've got to look differently, because you're representing an organization, and obviously the brand is important to them. So we have had some clients come to us, and trying to get them to understand the difference is really important, because some people cannot, they don't see a difference or don't think there should be a difference. So we're there to teach them how to dress appropriately, when you're going to job interviews or when you're going into different workspaces that are really different from where you would generally hang out in, I guess. A big example would be, a few years back, actually before COVID, we had a bank contact us and say, are you able to come and run a workshop with us? Because we've got some new staff that had started, and they didn't know the difference between, like they were wearing their nightclubbing clothes to work. And for some people, they just don't know the difference between the two. So that's where we come in and talk about, how to dress appropriately. What are the clothes that you can take over from your personal wardrobe to your professional wardrobe? But we do run in our workshops, we do go through personal style first, so people can understand and identify which is theirs. And then we talk about professional style, which is what you would generally see in an office setting, right? Corporate office wear, classic.
Yeah, I think that's very important, especially you have to look at it from a branding point of view as well, in terms of the reputation of the business that you work for. And so how you dress also gives the impression of the kind of business that you are or that you work for, and clients or customers see that, and people naturally just judge. This is what human beings do. They look at how you dress, they look at how you act, they look at how you treat them. That's all part of the brand experience, and I love that. Coming to work in your sports gear, if you work at a bank, it's just not going to do. It's just not going to do it. It's just going to give off a bad vibe, and that you're not serious and you don't really care.
It's been interesting, because we had a program that we were running with MSD, and we had clients that would actually come in their pajamas, or come in like they hadn't combed their hair or washed their faces. Personal grooming is really important, personal hygiene as well. So we cover that in our workshops. And I feel like the programs are necessary, because some people are really just letting it go. And for me, it comes down to self-respect as well.
Tell us a little bit about that. You mentioned self-respect. Where's the correlation between that and how do you build more self-respect by the way that you dress?
Yeah. It's funny, because I think I mentioned it before. People think that you're a show-off or you're vain when you dress up a bit, but it's like, actually, this is just, I respect myself as a person, and I want to make sure that I'm well presented when I go into the different spaces. So it's a real hard one. and it's just putting a bit of effort into what you wear and you're kind of getting penalized for it. But I think for everyone who likes to dress up, like keep doing it. Like don't let other people tell you that you are showing off or overdressing up just because they're not feeling good about themselves.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
my thing is to help everyone understand that, don't judge the next person. Like you focus on you, and I'm here to help you be the best version of yourself.
So obviously there's the other part of dressing. I mean, people dress for all sorts of reasons. Yes, it's to build my confidence, but also sometimes, and correct me if I'm wrong, sometimes they want to dress so they want to feel good. They want to feel sexy. They want to get attention. Especially if you're single, right? And you want to attract attention. So talk a little bit about that aspect in terms of dressing to feel good, to that side of things, if you know what I mean.
That's an interesting topic, because I'm really big on freedom of expression. I think it's something along those lines. But I think that there's a time and a place, to dress appropriately. I know sometimes people are saying when you dress a certain way or when you dress provocatively, you're trying to attract a certain kind of audience. Like you said, you're attracting attention and you're putting it upon yourself. And then the flip side of that coin is actually no, I wasn't asking for it. I was just expressing myself. And I think that you've got to find a balance. I mean, I've always thought, being a creative, that as long as if you were to dress a certain way, as long as you still carry yourself well, you're not doing harm to any other person, you're not doing it on purpose, there isn't like a secret agenda behind it, then I think it's fine. But there's some people where they dress a certain way and they're trying to get the attention of someone. And I know that that's a bit controversial, but that really is my stance, is if you are authentically dressing creatively for yourself and not for anyone else, then that's cool. But obviously in workspaces, if there's a dress code in place, and there's a reason why that dress code is in place. You've got to dress appropriately.
So obviously it costs money to buy those expensive material dresses, suits, outfits, and all of that to look good, right? What if you're on a tight budget? What if you don't have a lot of money to spend? I guess what are some tips and advice around that and still dressing and looking good so you feel good?
Sustainable fashion, it's coming back. Mind you, it's never gone away, but it's coming back into trend. Sustainable fashion is like buying secondhand, op shopping. And I love op shopping. When I was young, I loved it because I could afford it. Obviously times were tough then. But later on in life, I found that op shopping really helped me experiment with fashion and find my own personal style. So, yeah, a lot of people, there's that negative stigma and people are embarrassed to shop secondhand. But for me, it's purchasing secondhand. I wash the clothing, I bless the clothing, so there's none of those negative energies coming into my house. And then it's pretty much mine. So go for it. I think the three biggest things to do when you're shopping is helpful tips is 1, knowing what colors suit you, 2, knowing what clothes suit your body type, and 3, knowing your personal style. So regardless if you shop big or if you shop at op shops, those 3 things will really help you as you're building like a sustainable wardrobe.
It's not what you wear or where you buy, it's how you wear it too, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, most definitely. It's how you put it together, and it's putting your personal touch on the outfit to create your style. I think one of the coolest things about op shopping is finding the treasures, like you said, that no one else is gonna buy. Because there's nothing worse for me. One of my biggest nightmares is that someone else is wearing the same clothes as me.
Yeah. I've heard that one quite a lot. For me, it doesn't bother me if I see someone. Oh, hey man, what's up? That's cool. You and me the same. Yeah. But not everyone's like that. Everyone's a little bit different.
Women, no.
The unique, the uniqueness.
But that's where your style comes into play. So if you're going to go buy something that's quite common from a common store, you've got to put your own touch on it to make it yours, and then that's how you can get away with it.
Awesome. I love that. So can you tell us a little bit about, obviously in the workplace, productivity, whatever job you're in, what's the correlation between, how you dress and your personal style, your personal confidence, how does that affect the way that you work?
Yeah. I have this big thing on holistic living, right? So mind, body, soul. And so it comes back to that if you look good, you feel good, and although that positivity, you're going to be more productive in the workplace. You're going to be smashing those targets. You're going to be on top of your admin. You're going to be adding to the good culture of the environment that you're in. So yeah, it's all about positive vibes, man. And that for me, how I look is going to always help me become a better person and also a better employee for that organization.
Have you seen from your experience, especially in your workshops, how people, their style, how they dress, and how that affects their desire to learn?
This year, we ran our programs with MSD, and we had this one young man come in on our 3-day program, and it was, practical skills for employment readiness and wellbeing workshops. And for the 2 days he was in our workshops, he sat there at the back of the classroom, head down, not really participating, not really wanting to be there. And so I kept my eye on him, and I got him to answer questions when I could. I didn't want to be too pushy. And he participated a bit, but he was just head down, not really interested. Day 3 was our practical day where we go shopping. They get their hair and makeup done. It's like a makeover, and then they get professional photos done for CV, LinkedIn profiles. And when we did the shopping exercise and he came out in his flash new clothes, he was a completely different man. And so I was thinking, somewhere along the lines in this young man's journey, he had lost his integrity or someone had taken that away from him. But as soon as he was in the new clothes, he just had, all of a sudden he started talking. We actually heard him speak more than one sentence. And I kind of felt like that mana or the integrity was reinstalled in himself. Because I do recall those 2 days, his clothes weren't the best clothes, He was a bit embarrassed. But day 3, new man. And that's what the clothing had done. And he was just more interactive, not only with us as the tutors, but the people around him. And we couldn't believe it. Like his confidence had come back. And so we leveraged off the fact that, okay, he's in this different mindset, different space right now. Let's try and install as much as we can, like the self-belief, because self-doubt was in there, obviously, just to help plant the seeds of, what you need to do to get into the workplace. So that's a prime example of how we saw something happen within 3 days. We couldn't believe it. And then we've had other participants on our programs, day 3, because we also do a model runway walk. And a lot of them are like, why do we have to do this? I mean, I don't want to be a model. And, like I said, our programs, it's just the driver. And so if you can walk down a runway, even though you have no interest in fashion, you might probably hate fashion. If you can walk down a runway, that's a tick box. You're a bit better than you were yesterday. You're actually probably big bit better, because who wants to walk down a runway? That's daunting for so many people, because their perception is runway models that look a certain way, and here I am trying to look like them. But actually, no, it's got nothing to do with that. It's just us trying to build their inner self-confidence and knowing that, wow, if I can do this blimmin' hard thing, like walk down a runway, which I dislike, I can do other hard things as well.
Wow, that is definitely pushing yourself out of your comfort zone.
Oh, yeah.
Walking down in, I haven't been to a fashion show in real life or runway, but I've seen it on TV, and I've seen there's a lot of people there, and there's a lot of cameras and people watching, and I can imagine it being quite daunting.
Oh, yeah.
With
Yeah,
all
but they're
eyes.
professionals, right?
Yeah.
It's just getting the everyday person to walk it. So they do it, some of them are doing it really pushing themselves, which is a great place to see them in their uncomfortable space, right? And then when they come off, they're like, oh, freak, I did that. I can't believe I done it. And so, it's telling them not everything that's hard is hard, and you can do it.
Yeah, I love that. I love the experience of the young man, and it's so cool that you're teaching both male and female, so people out there, our listeners, can understand it too. and how he went from being shy, whakama, and all of that to being confident, engaging with people, and just open to learning and engaging. And with your 2 days, that's a big transformation. That's enough for a journey for someone to go from like, lacking confidence, not looking people in the eye, to like now being very confident, engaged in that. So that's awesome. And it also shows that you have a program that's actually impacting people, which is amazing.
Yeah, we couldn't believe it. And we've had a lot of stories like that. It's, for me, that's probably one of my greatest takeaways when we run the programs, is seeing that transformation, like witnessing it firsthand and knowing the feelings that they're feeling inside, like all the butterflies in there, just accomplishment, that they can do it.
Can you talk a little bit about the difference between males and females? Or, obviously we live in a time and age now where it's not just like that cookie cutter male and female. There's different styles. Everyone's unique. Everyone's different. But especially for talking to couples in there, the reason why I'm asking this question is because my wife shops for me. I don't even know what I look good in. I think I look good in. That's what my wife tells me. But she goes, this shirt that I'm wearing right now, my wife picked this for me. I would never in 100 years pick this or buy this for myself. But I wear it, and I feel good because it makes my wife happy. And and if she likes it, I like it, kind of thing. But but I've noticed like there's a difference there. I notice there's a difference there in terms of fashion, and that I wouldn't normally wear this, but I feel much better now because of my wife. So are you seeing any patterns, or what are you seeing as some of the learnings, especially when it comes to like couples?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I will say that you are the exact same as my husband. He has no interest in fashion whatsoever. Like he wouldn't give a crap. He's very, your typical laid back Islander Kiwi bloke, Jandor's t-shirt. Maybe you're like that as well. But when I shop with my husband, I feel like it is pulling teeth. He just doesn't like to shop and does prefer that I go shopping with him to find him something to wear. But in terms of the clients that are coming through that we're working with, there's a mixture. Before it was very top heavy of the guys would come in and you help us and we'll do whatever you say because you know what's right. But nowadays we're seeing guys who are actually asking, okay, what is my style and what looks good on my body type and what colors look good and what about these different prints, like big prints or small prints? I mean, the vocab they're using might be a bit more limited than females when it comes to describing fashion, but there's an interest, which is really interesting. And last month, we had guys come in because, we have our makeover sessions. And so the girls get their hair and makeup done and the guys just get the basics. But we had guys ask to pluck their eyebrows. And these were guys that play rugby, your strong, bold guys asking to have their eyebrows plucked. And we were like, yeah, cool, why not? I mean, you're only getting the basics anyway. So we are noticing that more and more guys are, they're interested in their image.
Yeah, I've noticed that as well. I mean, if I got asked to pluck my eyebrows, I'll be okay with it. To be honest, if you asked me that 5 years ago, I'll be like, no way, no way, no way. But I also feel like there's things like TikTok and Instagram and that where you see a lot of this and it's becoming normalized. Especially with so much diversity and being inclusive as well. And do you see a little bit of that happening as well in terms of, what people see online and being influenced by other people?
Yeah, most definitely. I love it. And I say that because I work in the creative industry, right? Because I'm all about freedom of expression. So I am actually enjoying, guys putting in a bit more effort. And if, wherever they're getting their influence from, great, because then we get to see more personality and who they are as a person.
Well, hey, Nora, thank you so much for just sharing so much value and insights in terms of dressing with confidence and how that impacts your self-confidence and your self-perception as well, and how that also has a ripple effect on the external world with people that you're with, the workplace that you're in, and the clients that you're dealing with. There's so much. It's not just about fashion, which is amazing. So I guess as we wrap up this podcast, what are some final tips or advice that you can give to everyone out there, our listeners, around dressing with confidence or your personal style?
Um, I'll share two tips. The first one is don't save your favorite clothes for a special occasion. Wear them, right? The second one is when it comes to putting together your outfits, focus on your favorite physical feature. So what is something that you like about yourself physically? For example, if it's your arms, wear sleeveless tops. Draw attention to your favorite physical features because it helps you build your self-confidence. And you can find me on social media. I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Otherwise, the website is www.noraswann.co.nz.
I love that. So if you're looking to unlock your inner potential, boost your self-confidence, discover your unique style, there you go. You can get in touch with Nora. And, those final tips, thank you for sharing. And just this whole podcast interview has been amazing. Thank you for your time. We are better for it. And there you go, Nora Swann, founder of Nora Swann Limited and Dress with Confidence. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Pastor, for the opportunity to share. Good to see you again.